We are. Oh, I meant to say in my email and I forgot. Have you got a belt or a scarf or something you can use as a belt? We don't need it for that. Yes, Rashmi, very good. What's that? A stretchy sort of band thing? I can't hear you. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah. Yeah, you may not need it anyway. So let's see. You may not need it, but it's just in case we do. Okay, we're recording. We're going to start. Do I need to show you anything we're going to do? Maybe just briefly, we're going to be lying down. I'll talk you through a few things. We're going to do a bit of this one and here. Now, where you may need the belt is in this one. Can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where you may need the belt is here, because we're going to keep this leg in half lotus. And if you can't catch your foot and let your knee drop, this is when you need, one of the times you may need the belt. Okay. But we're not doing that first of all. We're going to lie down. So yes, lie down and hi Sarah, hello. Bye. I was just saying, Sarah, you've got belts because you're in your yoga studio, so plenty of them. So lie down onto your backs. It's beautiful and warm today, so it's good, I think. We might feel our bodies might feel a bit looser, which is nice. And we're going to just start with a little bit of breathing. So lie either with your knees bent or your legs long, whichever you prefer. I'm going to mute people, but remember you can unmute yourself by pressing your space bar. And if you want to say anything. So otherwise, settling down onto your backs. And maybe just before we bring our attention to our breathing, you could feel your head on the floor, the weight of your head, and let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. They're just sort of easing into your neck, seeing how the neck feels. And from doing this, finding a comfortable place to settle the back of your head on the floor. And we're going to start by bringing our hands to rest on our belly, quite low down on the belly, so your hands are underneath your belly button. And with your hands here on the low belly, just noticing what you feel as you let your breath move through you. So as much as possible, just leaving your breath alone and allowing your body to respond to both the in and the out breath. So as your breath comes in, you might feel that your belly rises a little bit. As your breath leaves you, you may feel that your belly softens back, empties. Just have a couple more cycles of breath, seeing how for you it feels to focus on the movement of the breath in the belly. And equally, if you don't feel a huge amount of movement, that's also fine. We're all different, we all breathe in different ways. So have one more cycle of breath with your hands resting on your belly. And then I'd like you to slide your hands up your body and out to the side. So you're going to have your hands on your low ribs. Yeah, sort of low ribs with your thumbs going around towards the back of your ribs and your fingers around towards the front. And see how it feels for you to focus on your breathing here. So hands on the low ribs. Seeing if you can feel your body widening in the middle and narrowing. Hi Siobhan, Siobhan's just joined us. Widening in the middle and narrowing as you breathe in and breathe out. So Siobhan, we were just starting lying down with some breathing when you're ready. So have a couple more breaths with your hands on your low side ribs and just see how, again, for you, it feels to focus on your breath in this part of your body. The ribs widening and narrowing. And then finally bring your hands up onto your chest, just beneath your collarbones. So the top part of your chest. And see how it feels to tune into your breathing with your hands in this position. It's good if you can have your elbows resting on the floor. That's going to make it more comfortable and a bit easier. And feeling the rise and fall of the upper part of your chest with your breathing. Just for 2 or 3 more cycles of breath. So one last time, you're going to feel a breath come in. You're going to feel a breath leave you. And then we're going to come to some movements on our back, mainly focused around the pelvis and the hip joints. So when you're ready, you can release your arms down to your sides. And you're going to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. So take a moment to feel the contact of your footprints on the floor. And then when you're ready, you're going to start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. So we often do this movement, and just use this movement to help you start to feel how your body is right now. And sometimes for all these perhaps inexplicable reasons, we can feel on one day a bit stiffer in the lower back or into one hip. And sometimes there's a good reason for it. It's perhaps something we've been doing. So just a couple of times, let the knees tilt to one side and then the other, or it may be, you know, as we know, sort of a long-term injury or stiffness. Okay, and then what I'd like you to do from here is just settle in the middle for a moment. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you, and then lengthen your left leg out on the ground. That's it. And then come to do a little bit more rocking with that right knee going from side to side. So you start to perhaps now feel a little bit more the movement of the right hip joint on its own. That's it. And just see where that knee goes as you let the knee rock out to the outside and across towards the left leg. Good, and do that a couple more times. And just feel how your right hip is feeling today. Good. And then you're going to pause in the middle and you're going to fold that right knee into your chest and hold around the top of your knee or the back of your thigh with your hands for a moment. Good. And see how it feels to be folding in this one side, and the other leg is long. You could, for a moment, if you liked, as you exhale, stretch into your left heel and your left toes. So stretch the heel away from you, that's it, good. And feel the muscles in the front of that left leg engage, and then let the left leg go. Good. And then I think we did this one little one last week. So what's it like then to wrap your hands or your arms around the back of your right thigh? And then you could just see what's it like to bring your right foot more towards the ceiling. So you could either just be bringing the foot up on its own, or you could be using one of your hands. So for example, you could have your right arm wrapped around the back of your thigh and be catching your ankle or foot with your left hand and bringing your foot up towards the ceiling. So the most important thing here is that you're keeping your right thigh close to your chest. So it's a little bit like you're doing a lunge on your back, yeah? And just move in and out of that because it can get quite tight. Yeah, that's it, good. And then just relax your heel back to your bottom again. So keep that knee folded into your chest. And then bend your other leg and stand your left foot on the floor. Good. And now let the right knee come out to the side. So your right ankle comes onto your left thigh, close to your knee. So you want your right ankle on your left thigh, Rashmi. That's the one. Yeah, good. Good. And then what you're going to do is start to rock side to side on your standing foot. And remember, you could bring this standing foot, your left foot, a bit more to the center, if that would be helpful for you. You don't have to. That's nice. So that's lovely. So see how it feels to rock side to side on that left foot. Beautiful. Now it's up to you. You could keep on rocking. If your lower back's feeling tight, this might be the best thing to do. But what you could also do from here is pause in the middle, pick your left foot off the floor, catch your hands around the back of your left thigh. That's it, good. And have a few breaths there. Just make sure when you've done that, that you've not brought tension into your neck in particular. So if your head is lifted off the floor, you might want to slide a cushion under it. Make sure your left foot stays relaxed. Good. Have a few breaths there, if that feels okay for you. That's it, sort of floppy left foot. Good, that's very nice. Lovely. You can always rock a little bit side to side in this position if you like. I don't particularly like it because I always feel I go a bit sort of lopsided, but I know some of you like that. And from here, then you're going to let your left foot come back onto the floor, and you're going to see how it feels gently to slide. Yeah, well, first of all, Rashmi, before you bring your leg onto the floor, I would slide the right ankle closer to, that's it. So when you've got your right ankle on your thigh, slide your right ankle down towards your pelvis, catch around the top of your foot, and then you can lengthen your left leg out on the ground. Okay, and so this is the point at which, yeah, you might want to use a belt. Now, can you, if you're holding your foot, can you make sure you're holding around the top of your foot? So you should be holding your foot like this, not, yeah, around the sole of your foot. Yeah, that's it, Rashmi. Hold it like that, just with the one hand, with the left hand is fine. So, yes, Sarah, that's, yeah, so Sarah, I would say yes, that's nice. If that's better for you, I was saying having the left leg long on the floor. But if you want to have that leg bent, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. Good. So how are we there? Yeah, very nice. Yeah, the belt, Mel, might be better around your shin rather than your foot, possibly. Good. Sally, are you okay there? That's nice. Sharon, hold the other way around your foot. So if you, yes, that's it. Yeah, yeah. Good. This is where it's a relief not to have any more people, so I can at least see what's going on. Marie, can you, if you're to belt there, yeah. Again, it might be good to have your belt around your shin. A scarf, yeah, a bit higher up. Yeah, or maybe slightly lower down than that. It's a bit nearer to your ankle. Yeah. Okay, when you've had enough, we've lost debate here, when you've had enough on this side, doing this half, sort of, so it's, you're doing a half lotus tree on your back. So Siobhan, are you okay with what you're doing? I don't have to be able to see you. I'm sure you're doing it beautifully without me looking. When you've had enough, you're going to lengthen both legs out on the floor and just give your legs a little bit of a roll. And it's going to be easy on side two because you know exactly what you're doing, although you might not be able to remember it. So when you've given your legs a lengthen out, you're then going to leave your right leg long, bend your left knee, stand your left foot on the floor. Okay, so we're coming back to right leg's long, left knee's bent, left foot standing on the floor. You're rocking side to side on your left foot. So your left knee is coming out to the right and to the left. That's it. That's it. Good. So rock side to side on that standing foot. And just try and feel, yeah, feel what's going on as you let your knee rock to the right and to the left. That's nice, good. Good. And then very nice, lovely. From there, you can pause in the center. You can fold that knee in towards your chest. Maybe hold around the top of your knee first. Have a few breaths. You could be, as you exhale, stretching into your heel in the long leg. So stretch into the right heel, spread your right toes if you like. That's it. And then letting the right leg relax. And then remember, we did that one where it's a bit like lunge on your back. So you're wrapping your arms around the back of your left thigh or your hands, trying to keep your left thigh close to your chest as you bring your left foot more up towards the ceiling. So it might be that you hold around the back of your leg with your left arm, and you use your right hand to maybe catch your foot or your ankle and bring that foot towards the ceiling. That's it, good. And you want to try and, as much as possible, stay really heavy and settled through the right leg. Very nice, good, good, beautiful. And then just let that, just let your foot relax down to your bottom now. And you're going to bend your right knee and stand your right foot on the floor. So keep your left knee folded into your chest. That's it, left knee folded into your chest. Right foot is now standing on the floor. That's it, Mel. Bring your left knee out to the side and your left ankle onto your right thigh, close to your knee. And then start to rock side to side on your standing foot. Good, and see how this feels on side 2. Very nice. So explore this movement a little bit. So it's nice in this warm weather to just take the time. I'm realizing we may well take more time with things than I had planned. To take the time with these movements and not to be in a rush. So from here, whenever you're ready, you're going to pick your right foot off the floor, catch your hands around the back of your right thigh, if that's possible. That's it. That's it, good, good. And have a few breaths there. Very nice. And that's it. Yes, and again, if, like I said on the last, that's it. We'll keep that right foot relaxed, Rashmi. That's it. Oh, that's it. The right foot's just floppy. And you can rock a bit from side to side if you like. And then from here, whenever you're ready, you bring your right foot back to the floor. You slide your left ankle down. No, keep your left ankle where it is, Rashmi. That's on your thigh. That's it. And then slide your ankle down. That's it, towards your pelvis. And then catching around the top of your foot with your hand, or if you're using a belt, maybe with it around your ankle, and lengthening your left leg out on the floor. No, right leg is lengthened out on the floor, sorry. That's the one, yeah. Sorry to confuse everyone at this crucial point. Good. So we're coming into that half lotus, that's it. So you're holding your foot, or with a belt or your hand, you're trying to let your knee drop down towards the floor without the rest of the body following it. So you're coming into, it's like you're doing your half lotus tree pose, but on your back. And you're having a few breaths here. So that's it. That's it, Rashmi. So try and keep a little bit, Rashmi. I think your ankle could be a bit more on your thigh. You want to feel that that's it, your ankle, good. And then you let your knee drop. But you keep your ankle on your thigh, good. Good. So have another few breaths here. And whenever you've had enough, you're going to release that leg, have both legs long on the ground, and give the legs a little bit of a bounce or a roll. Just see how it feels to be long. Yes, and then we're going to do, Maria, I don't know if you were going there, we're going to do that one we've been doing a bit in recent weeks, where you keep your legs long, take your arms up by the sides of your head, interlink your fingers. So your arms are on the floor, and then you turn your hands away from you. So you're very long, you're stretching into your hands. Oh, your arms are on the floor, Siobhan, that's it. Stretch into your arms, your hands, and your heels. So send your heels away from you and your toes up towards the ceiling, Rashmi. So your arms are on the floor, good, good. But obviously don't do anything that's going to pull your shoulders, so don't overdo it. And then you can release that one, and you can fold your knees into your chest. So gather yourself up into a little ball. Knees folded into your chest, hold around your knees, do a little bit of rocking from side to side. And of course, you can do a little bit of taking your legs up towards the ceiling and giving them a shake out. And yes, your arms as well, Siobhan, very nice. So in a moment, we're going to be making our way over into standing. So from here, you might want to roll onto one side, have a few breaths. I'm just going to grab a little bit more water. And yeah, the same for you if you want to have a drink en route to standing. That'd be a good idea. So we eventually making our way over into standing, nearly all there. Having a little drink en route if you like. Who's that there? Who seems to have disappeared? Okay. So we're going to do a few things in standing and then come down and do a few hands and knees things. So the first thing you're going to do once you've just arrived and in a moment. So again, because it is hot, if you do start to feel that you need to have a rest at any point and just want to lie down, you can. Otherwise, what we're going to do is this one. Swinging our arms, letting our pelvis move, letting our feet move, slapping our arms onto our body. And just feeling the whole of ourselves in movement. It's quite nice in this one to feel the air on our skin. Beautiful warm air today. Okay, a couple more times. Swinging the arms to the right and to the left. And then letting that go. Settling down, having a look at your feet. So feet hip width apart and parallel. And then what we're going to do a few times is to shift our weight forwards onto the balls of our feet. So letting the heels come up and just seeing how this feels. So this is what I always think of as being a two-footed balance, where we come onto the balls of our feet. So it's about this flexibility in the toes and also some strength through the arches of the feet. So these two things that we need in the feet. Just a couple more times. We'll go a bit further with this in a moment, but a couple more times coming up onto the balls of the feet, coming back down. And if your feet are anything like mine, they'll be clicking and clunking all over the place. Okay, let's leave that one for a moment and come to, let a breath come in as you exhale, bring your arms up and come into this one where we're reaching. We're reaching up into one arm, and as you reach up, you shift your weight into that leg. So you shift your weight into the reaching leg, or the reaching arm leg. Good. That's very nice, lovely. So you're feeling long through one side of the body and then the other. Just starting to get rid of any of those tightnesses that have crept in during the night as you're asleep. And in a moment from here, we're going to sweep down into a forward bend. But if your lower back is feeling tight, you might want to rest your elbows on your thighs, as this is the first forward bend. So really just see, how is your body feeling today? So you can either go all the way down, let your arms hang. Probably quite good to have your knees a bit bent. Or if it's better for your lower back, bend your knees, rest your elbows on your thighs. Have a couple of breaths. Feel the heels really rooted into the ground. Now it's quite nice in your forward bend to also bend your knees quite a lot so your chest comes close to your thighs. So you could also try that variation. So your chest is resting down onto your thighs, very nice, that's good. Really letting your head go. And then we'll roll back up into standing. So let a breath come in as you exhale down into your heels, rolling back up into standing. Arriving back in standing. Let's come back to bringing our weight forwards onto the balls of our feet. So shifting your weight onto the balls of your feet. In a moment, we're going to stay here and bring the arms up. So if you're feeling steady, let the weight come forward onto the balls of your feet. You can float your arms up. Let the shoulders drop. Let the centers of the palms feel soft and feeling alive and awake into your fingertips. Just see if you can have another couple of cycles of breath here, maybe. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. And then again, as we come down, you're going to sweep your arms down and around. I sort of like to go to the side. You don't have to all the way into a forward bend. Sorry. Gemma, can you get the door, please? I shouldn't say this for you to hear, Ashley. One use for teenagers. So get them out of their bedroom. So in your forward bend, another couple of breaths. And then sinking into your heels, rolling up into standing. Have a little shake out of your arms and legs. We're going to come into that standing balance again. I'm just going to show you, you don't need to come into kneeling, but we're going to go up into the balance with our hands in prayer pose. Once we're there, we're going to take the arms up, touch the hands in prayer pose over our head, and then bring them down here. So this is all while we're balancing. Okay, so let's see how that works. So this is the last of these series of little standing balances on both feet. So bring your hands into prayer pose and see if it helps. So with your hands in prayer pose, we're going to bring our weight forwards onto the balls of the feet, come up into the balance and have a cycle of breath here. And as the breath leaves you, you're going to take your arms out to the sides and then up and touch your palms together in prayer pose over your head. Let a cycle of breath move through you. And again, as you exhale, bring your hands down in front of your chest. All the time, we're trying our best to stay balancing on the balls of our feet. Well done. Very nice. Drop your shoulders here. If you're still balancing, very, very well done. And whenever you're ready to come down, you're going to one more time come down. And arms come forwards, your head, your shoulders forwards into a forward bend. Have a few more breaths here, bending your knees as much as you like. And again, if your lower back needs the support, your elbows could be on your thighs. Really give the weight of your head to the floor. You could, if you're still happy in your forward bend, you could do your some of those weeping willow movements where you're trailing your fingers around the fronts of your feet, just sweeping a little bit from side to side. Keeping exhaling and releasing as you exhale. Of course, you're going to keep exhaling as you're breathing. And then, yeah, pause in the center, sinking into your heels, come back up into standing. Let me just see. Okay. Bring your feet a little bit wider apart. So actually, in fact, what you're going to do is bring your feet to the width of the narrow edge of the mat. We're going to come to some more of these side lengthening movements. So now, one arm at a time, bringing one arm up, the other arm's floppy. Bringing one arm up, the other arm's heavy. Your pelvis, again, can move towards the raised arm side. Good, this arm's floppy. Now, we're focusing on the movement. What would it be like then to focus on moving as you breathe? So maybe your arm comes up as you exhale. You could try that. Coming into this movement on an out breath. What's it like to breathe in as you come into this movement? So breathe in. You could try that a couple of times, breathing in as you come into the side lengthening movements. And then what's it like to stay here for a few breaths, or a couple of breaths maybe? So receiving an inhalation, letting an out breath go in this position. Coming to the other side, receiving an inhalation, letting an out breath go, receiving another inhalation. And try that once more on each side, just being in the side lengthening movement and breathing for a couple of cycles of breath. And I just want to have a look at you. Good, that's nice, good. Very beautiful. Bottom arms nice and floppy. It's not the easiest place I find to be in and breathe, but if we focus on this feeling of releasing as we exhale, widening with the in-breath. And whenever you are ready, you can fold forwards, keeping your feet wide, and see how that feels. So coming into a wide, feet a bit wider apart, forward bend. I quite like in this one to have both knees a bit bent. Sinking into the heels, letting the arms and the head feel heavy and floppy. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. Very nice. Be well in your heels. Good. And then letting a breath come in as you exhale, rolling up into standing. And having a little shake out. So we're going to do a couple of balances now where we stand on one foot, and then we're going to go down and do some hands and knees things and come back to these other variations of these balances. So the first thing we're going to do in a moment is tree pose. What I would like you to do with your feet hip width apart and parallel, is let your arms hang and close your eyes. And just start to rock a little bit from side to side. So what you're doing now is deciding which foot you're going to stand on. So if we have that notion that we're going to be coming to stand on one foot, we're going to do it on both sides, of course, but you're going to choose which side you do first. So you can be making that decision as you're rocking from side to side, and you choose the easier side, yeah? So opening your eyes. So you've chosen your foot, you're starting to shift your weight over that leg. Now you're going to choose where are you going to bring the other foot for tree pose. So it could be your ankle, it could be with your heel above your knee, or it could be trying to bring your heel as high up your inner thigh as you can, where there's a sort of little indentation. So any of these options are good. Then we can bring the hands into prayer pose. So it's what can we do to feel settled beneath the waist? If our foot is not staying on the inside of our leg, we need to try to really press the heel in to meet the leg, and the leg meets that pressure of the heel. Or we can always bring the foot a bit lower down. From there, if you are feeling steady, you can take your arms out, wide, and then up, letting the shoulders drop, letting the breath come in. So really let the shoulders drop down away from the ears. Good. Keep soft in the centers of your palms. And from here, you can also bring your hands back down in front of your chest in prayer pose. Have a couple of cycles of breath here. Good. And come down, have a little bit of a shake out. So it is challenging, I completely understand, it's challenging sometimes to keep the ankle, the foot on the inner thigh. So that's why sometimes it's helpful if your heel is either in this sort of indentation above your knee joint or in this indentation above the muscle here. If you're trying to sink your heel into the center of the muscle of your thigh, it is more likely to slide around. So just on side two, just, where are you going to bring your foot? Yeah, so if your heel could just be above the knee, you've got to press the heel in a bit, the heel coming up towards the top of the thigh, if that's possible for you. Hands in prayer pose. And all these things change and vary from day to day. So just we have an intention to settle, to feel steady below the waist. And the reality may or may not match up to that. From here, we can take the arms wide. Keep the shoulders relaxed, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. Soft centers of the palms, very alive and aware into your fingertips. Looks amazing, everyone, well done. And from here, you can touch the hands back in prayer pose, bring the hands back down in front of the chest. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Coming down when you're ready. Sometimes we have that choice, don't we? Sometimes we have a choice to come down. Sometimes we come down without choosing to. So give the legs a good shake out now. And then we're going to come into one more balance. So when you've eventually finished shaking your legs out, we'll come back and we'll stand on your first side again. So whichever leg you stood on first, bring that arm up. And so we're doing this one where we start to reach up into the arm and shift our weight into that leg. So the other foot becomes lighter and lighter on the floor, and we can then just catch the top of our foot or our trouser leg. Good. We're just being quite quiet here for the moment, and the hand comes down onto the breastbone. And how is it to be quite a sort of, well, maybe a quiet place? Letting your knee drop towards the floor, letting your shoulders soften, feeling the movement of the breath through your body. Maybe like we did in lying down at the start of class, we can feel the rise and fall of our breastbone under our hand. Come down. If you're not down already, have a little shake out. Okay, so one last side of a balance, and then we're going to be doing a few other things before we come back to a couple of balances. So reach up with the other arm. The arm that was reaching up is now heavy and floppy. Shifting your weight into the other leg. Can this leg become really light as the other leg starts to take our weight? Catching the top of our foot, letting the knee drop. And then we can bring the hand to the breastbone. We're gathering into the center of ourselves, feeling the movement of the breath, letting ourselves settle and be here right now. Feeling the breath move in. Feeling the breath leaving us. Very nice. Well done, everyone. Fantastic. Come down. Have a little shake out. So, for a change, we're going to do a little sequence when we come to the front of our mats. So we often do this at the back of our mats, but we're going to do something slightly different. So coming to the front of your mats, bringing your hands into prayer pose. So it's going to be like the beginning of sun salute. We're going to be going down through a forward bend in a moment and stepping one foot back into lunge. It doesn't matter which foot, as long as you keep track of which foot it is. So settle here for a moment, feet hip width apart and parallel. Hands touching in prayer pose. Feel the movement of your breath through your body. And then letting a breath come in, and as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Drop your shoulders down, feel long and tall. And then as you exhale, curling down into a forward bend. And from this forward bend, you're going to step, well, I'm going to step my right foot back into lunge. You could do the same if you like. So stepping your right foot back into lunge. And we're just doing a sort of easy lunge, if that's not too much of a contradiction in terms. So you've got your hands either side of your foot, having a couple of breaths here. Now, from this lunge, we're going to come on into plank pose, and you might be able to go straight from lunge into plank pose. You might want to come onto hands and knees to come into plank pose. Okay, so whatever works for you. From lunge on into your plank pose. So you want this long straight line of plank, shoulders over your wrists, toes tucked under, sending your heels back. And from plank pose, we're going to go up into dog. So then you can send your bottom up and back. Now it might feel quite a long dog pose, so you could then walk your feet in a little bit until it feels a dog pose that's a good length for you. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. Bend your knees as much as you like. Now, from dog pose, we're going to step the other foot forwards into lunge. You could come onto hands and knees if you prefer. So if you were following me, it's now the left, no, it's going to be the right foot that is going to step forwards into lunge. So step your right foot forwards. So you should have your other foot forwards in lunge. If you've got the same foot forwards in lunge, change it over. And have a couple of breaths here in your lunge. Hands either side of your foot. And then from lunge, we're going to be stepping this back foot forwards, back into your forward bend, or forwards into your forward bend. So as you exhale, stepping forwards into your forward bend, let your head go, let your arms go. And like we do in sun salute, we're going to roll up into standing, touching the backs of the hands together. So you can roll up into standing, trail your hands up the front of your body, straight up to the ceiling. Let a breath come in. And then a big circle, bring your arms out to the sides and back into prayer pose. And we're going to go back down through that sequence and stay on hands and knees a little bit longer this time. So, touching your hands together in prayer pose. Let a breath come in. As you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let a breath come in with your arms up. And then rolling down into your forward bend. This time we're going to step the left foot back into lunge. So stepping back into our lunge. Having a few breaths here. And in this lunge this time, I would like you to walk your front foot out to the side a bit more. So both of your hands come onto the inside of your front foot. Yeah? And can you, so the next stage you don't have to do any of this, do you? But the next stage is optional. If you can come down onto your hands, you could always put a block under them. You could tuck in your back toe under, bring your back knee off the floor if you want a bit of an extra stretch. So you're resting down through your hands, you've let your back knee come off the ground. You're having a few breaths here if that's tolerable. If it's not, bring your back knee back down again. And then this time from this lunge, what I would like you to do from lunge is move on into pigeon pose by walking your foot, your front foot, your right foot over towards the left, so we can come down into pigeon. If that's okay for everyone. So I'm just going to come and have a little look at you in pigeon pose, so as comfortably as possible. And these things are slightly easier in the heat that we have today. That's it, Rashmi, good. And come down onto your elbows in pigeon. Elbows and forearms, yes. And try and make sure your pelvis is level, good. Good, and that's nice. And just have a few breaths here. So we're not trying to push it in pigeon at all. If you're feeling pressure through your front knee, let yourself roll onto the top of your front leg thigh. Good, that would be your right thigh. Yeah, that's it, Marie, good. Go off there, off to the side there. And just have a few breaths in your pigeon pose. Now, in a moment from here, we're going to come into dog pose. So you might feel that you can move directly from pigeon into dog, by planting your hands on the floor and tucking your back toe under. If not, roll out onto your right thigh, come onto hands and knees and into dog. So whichever works for you, either straight from pigeon or from hands and knees, coming into dog pose. If you've moved straight from pigeon into dog, again, it might be very long. You might want to walk your feet forwards a little bit. Have a few breaths in dog pose. Bending the knees as much as you like, letting the head go. From dog, we're going to be bringing the left foot forwards into lunge. So you could either do that directly from dog or from hands and knees. Good. That's it. Let the back knee come down onto the ground. Good. Make sure your front knee is over your front heel. And then just like we did on the other side, walk your front leg a bit more out to the side so that your hands come onto the inside of your front leg. And again, if you want to go to the next stage, if you want to, by taking your back knee off the ground, you want to have your hands standing, I think, flat on the floor. So you could always put a book or a block under them if they don't. So if you're doing that, you're tucking your toes under in your back leg, you're letting your back knee come off the floor, you're leaning down through your arms, a bit like you do in plank pose. And having a few breaths here. And from here, you can always let your back knee come down whenever you want to. From this lunge, we're then going to be coming into pigeon pose. So that walking, using your arms to support you, walking your front foot over towards the right. So your left heel is in front of your right thigh, and then seeing if it's how it is to settle into pigeon on this side for a few breaths, coming down onto your forearms. Again, I'm going to come have a look at you. If your front knee isn't happy, you roll off onto the side. That's it. Good. That looks nice, Rashmi. Good. Good. Have a few breaths in pigeon on this side, if that's okay. That's nice. Good. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. And then once again, you're going to come on into dog pose, either from hands and knees or directly from pigeon by planting your hands down, tucking your back toe under, stepping your front foot back. Good. So enjoy a bit of a lengthen out in dog. And from this dog, you are going to be folding down into child pose. You might be relieved to hear. Just a few breaths in dog pose. Very nice, letting the head go. Big handprints on the floor. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready, just folding down quietly into child pose. Settling the weight of your hips back over your heels. Resting your forehead onto the ground, that's it, folding back, resting the elbows on the ground. That's it, so you can feel wide and soft across the back of your shoulders. Yes, if you prefer to be in kneeling, Mel, that's absolutely fine. So if you prefer kneeling to child pose, that's absolutely fine. And just settling quietly for a few breaths. Feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath leave you. And when you're ready from child pose, you're going to come onto hands and knees with some cat movements. So quite often, probably more often, we do our cat movements towards the beginning of class. So sort of more towards the middle of class now, even past the middle. Just see how it feels to come onto hands and knees, rounding your back to the ceiling, dipping your spine into the floor. So coming back to feeling the center of ourselves, to feeling our spine, our torso. So how does it feel when you let your spine dip to the floor? How does it feel when you let your back round to the ceiling? If you feel that you want to add in some tail wagging movements, these side bendy ones where we imagine we have a tail, we wag it from side to side, you can do. But what I would like to do here, and Francis, I'm sure you're probably keen to do it, is use our cat movements to come towards face up dog. So on hands and knees, we could tuck our toes under, we can round our back to the ceiling and rock our hips back over our heels. And in this rocked back place, then walk your hands a little bit further forwards on the floor. Let a breath come in. And as you exhale, traveling forwards, rounding your back to the ceiling, looking at your pelvis, watching your pelvis come forwards until your shoulders are over your wrists. Then you can let your pelvis go. Shoulders down, 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 away from your ears, untucking your toes. And then reverse that movement. Start to travel back. Tuck your toes under when that feels right. Looking back, rounding back, all the way back to your hips over your heels. Let a breath come in there. And then traveling forwards again, rounding your back as you exhale, watching your pelvis come forwards until your shoulders are over your wrists, opening up again into face up dog. And we'll do it one more time. Have a breath in your face up dog. Use the out breath to start to take you back. Tucking your toes under when that feels right, all the way back to heels, bottom over your heels. Let the breath come in. One last time, exhaling, traveling forwards, all the way into your face up dog. Maybe a breath or two in this face up dog, and then this time rock back once more into child pose. Take the weight off your arms. A breath or two in child pose, or again in kneeling if you prefer. So a couple of quiet breaths in child pose or kneeling. So in a moment, we're going to be making our way back into standing. We're going to be doing a couple of standing balances following on from what we did before. We're going to go through dog pose into standing. If you fancy doing your one leg dog poses, then this might be quite a nice time to do those. So if you are going to do well, even if you're not going to do your one leg dog poses, really planting your hands down for dog. So big handprints on the floor, tucking your toes under. As you exhale, rock your hips back, picking your knees up off the floor, letting your legs open out, lengthen out into dog. So have a few breaths in dog pose. And then if you want to explore taking one leg up, you could bend your knees, you're taking your leg up, and then as you raise the leg, you might roll the pelvis, extending into your heels, straightening the leg. So there are all these possibilities in your one-legged dog poses. If you're not, I don't know how familiar you are with all of these options. If you're not sure, you could come down and watch me for a moment. So in one-leg dog, there's raising the leg with your pelvis level. There's rolling your pelvis, yeah? And then there's this one here. Okay. So there's probably other things you could do as well, but those are the sort of three things you can try. Okay. Very nice. But you want to make sure if you are doing one leg dogs, you're staying as settled as you can through your arms and your shoulders, yeah? The shoulders are going to start to feel a little bit different. We feel different anyway. Good. And so when you've done your one leg dogs on each side, if you're doing them, then you're going to walk your hands in towards your feet. So you end up in a forward bend. And eventually into standing, Francis, that's fine. If you're there in standing, you don't have to go back down. Good. Very nice. Yes, and from your forward bend, rolling up into standing. So we're going to come into, maybe just watch for me. There's a few things I want to say. We're going to come into this half lotus tree pose. So some of you may want to use your belt around your ankle. Some of you, if you're holding your foot, can you see me? I'm using the wall. If you need to use the wall, stand on the foot furthest away from the wall. So you've got your other hand. You can catch your foot. Now, if you're catching your foot, you catch around the top of your foot like this, yeah? Not around the sole of your foot, so like this. And I just wanted to then show you, there's a little sequence of arm things I wanted you to try. So maybe watch me for a moment before you're trying to balance. I will try and balance. So the little sequence of arm things is, first of all, this arm coming up. I'm just doing it quite quickly so you can see. Then this arm coming around, maybe your fingers come around to the back of your elbow. And then this last one is not if you're using a belt, quite obviously, it's both arms coming up. And you've got to press your foot onto your thigh to keep it there. So if you want, those are those three little, if this is all easy and you need a little bit of a challenge. Now, so if you're using the wall, stand on the foot furthest from the wall. This is to help you get your balance. So you might be needing the wall for a bit of balance. So if you've got a belt, you're going to put your belt around your ankle. If you're holding your foot, you're holding around the top of your foot. So that was all of the balances. We've got to organise ourselves from the waist down before we think about doing anything fancy from the waist up. And this might be enough. We might just need to be here with our fingers on the wall, helping us to balance. So that's it. So Rashmi, it might be useful to, that's good. That's nice, lovely. So when you've caught your foot, however you're going to hold it, the first hand position, which you've probably completely forgotten now, is to take that other arm up and let your shoulder drop and have a few breaths there. And then from there, let your hand, yes, that hand comes around the back of your body, and maybe your fingertips come onto the elbow of the hand that's holding your foot. And that hand around your back is very nice because it's a reference point to breathe back to help your spine lengthen. And then if you're still feeling steady and you're not using a belt, you could bring both arms up. You've got to press your foot a little bit onto your thigh to keep it there. So it's a little bit more active in that standing foot. Now, well done, everyone, if you're still there in that balance. Very amazing. And then come down safely in this one because you don't want to hurt your knee in any way. So remember, if you are, if standing on one foot is a challenge, it's so useful to use the wall. And it's not a cheat. So if you are going to use the wall, we're going to stand on the other foot. Stand on the foot furthest from the wall. Okay. Just take the time. You might use the wall to start with and then not need it once you've caught your foot. If you're using a belt, it's really helpful to use the wall because it can, fiddling around with the belt can make us feel even more wobbly. So we're standing on the foot furthest from the wall. We're catching our belt or our foot, catching the belt like this, catching around the top of the foot. When everything is organised from the waist down, then we bring that up. Good. So if we're struggling to balance, move to the wall. We can have a few breaths with the arm up. That's it. Good, Rashmi. Yeah, that's it. Stand on the foot furthest from the wall. So that arm that's been raised can then wrap around the back of your body. Can you feel that as you exhale, you're breathing back to that arm behind you? It's quite a nice, secure place to be. Brings our awareness more into the back of our body. And then from here, if you're not using a belt, you could bring both arms up with that awareness that you've got to actively press your ankle onto your thigh a little bit more. Good. Very nice, everyone. Good. And then coming out of it safely, having a little shake out. And just while you're recovering from that, I will show you what we're going to do next. And I might show you side on. So we're going to come into this one we did before. So we're reaching up. Let me just watch for a moment because you've got a lot of options here. So we're going to come back to this place. And then you can go on further into any of those. If any of you are feeling particularly adventurous, you could go on into this one, half moon sugarcane pose, which could take you into here. These are just a couple of suggestions. I'm not saying you necessarily need to do all of these, but if the mood takes you, those are some possibilities. Maybe just settle in standing first of all, before we get too carried away. If you can remember what foot you stood on first in the half lotus balance, we'll stand on that foot. You probably can remember, you'll feel the other leg's going to feel a bit more challenged. So start by bringing that arm up. So the arm of the leg you're going to stand on. Reaching up through that arm, shifting your weight into that leg. Little by little, the other foot becomes light, so you can catch the top of your foot. And then we bring our hand onto our breastbone. So from here, we want to probably feel steady at this point before we do anything too fancy from here. And then from here, it's just all these possibilities. Where could we go to? Reaching our foot back and our arm forwards. And if you feel that, yes, you want to carry on taking your arm down towards the floor, you could do. It's quite a long way down. So all of these, yeah, all of these possibilities. And that's nice. Yes, that's it, Sharon. So if the fingertips reach the floor, good. Then you'll sort of put that, yes, very nice. Beautiful. And with all of these where we get a little bit more experimental, there is, of course, more opportunity to topple over, which is fine. We'll just come back again. These lovely expansive movements for our body. Where we just, yeah. What was I going to say? Which would be experimental and unorthodox. Nice, beautiful. So you can, if you want to do a bit more on that side, you can do. We should move on to the other side. So it's quite good with these not to sort of be there too long, just exploring it as a movement. So you can start reaching up through the other arm, shifting your weight into the other leg. If you're still on side one, that's fine. Coming to this point of departure where we've got the hand on the breastbone, we've caught our back foot. And then what's it like to start to reach the foot back and the arm forwards? Where could that take us? It might take us into a wobble. It might take us into another movement. Very nice. Good. Good. Beautiful. That's it, Francis. Those fingers were very close to the floor then. So well done. You were nearly, yeah, you were nearly. Good. Yes, that's it, that's it. Beautiful. Very nice. Well done. Okay. Yes, have a little bit of a shake out. And we're going to, after those ones, I think it might be, we're going to come down through a forward bend and a squat, which might be quite nice for the lower back after that last one. So if you need something under your heels to stay in the squat, a book, roll up the mat, a cushion, and in your own time, rolling down into your forward bend, letting your head go. Give yourself a few breaths in the forward bend, our last forward bend. So see how your body feels. And then when you're ready from this forward bend, you are then going to be going on into a squat, bending your knees. So we can stay in a squat. I mean, again, it's fine. If your heels come up and you're comfortable there, that's fine. But you want to be able to have that feeling of the weight of the pelvis lengthening out your lower back. So it can be quite helpful to have something under the heels. I always feel, it always makes me a little bit sad when I get out the yoga wedges, because I always wish you were here. Wish you were here and I could, yes, let you use them. So obviously in your squat, the other thing you can do is take your knees wider apart so that your arms come down between your legs. And that might make it a little bit easier to stay in. Good. And then from our squat, we will sit down into cobbler pose. So you might just use your hands behind you rather, and gently lower yourself down and lean back onto your hands. So, okay, I think what we're going to do here, slightly less time than I hope, probably still going a bit more slowly because of the heat. Let's do a little bit, I would do a little bit of pinwheel, a little bit of cobbler pose, a little bit of sitting and breathing, and then some things in lying. So from here, if you let one knee come on top of the other knee and slide your top leg back, and just do a little bit of circling here. So remember, some of us, we did last week this one where you've given yourself a hug and you're letting your head fall forward. So this can be really nice for the neck and the shoulders. So if you want to do this variation, you can, where you've got your hands on your shoulders, you let your head fall forward, so your back is rounding out more. You feel really wide there. So that's a possibility. And then from this circling, we are going to turn towards the leg that's going out to the side. We're going to fold down over this leg and just have a few breaths here. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. And then walking the hands in towards you. There's one little thing I thought we might, this is not going to work for everyone, but it might work for some of you. Now from pinwheel, what's it like if you were to take this knee, this is the back leg knee, back a little bit, and catch onto your foot. So it's this sort of rocking like this, which some of you it's just not going to be, yeah. So if I'm rocking, I'm sort of rolling more towards the front of this thigh and then more towards the back of this thigh. I might just come and have a tiny little look at you. And yeah, that's it, Rashmi, catching that foot and sort of rocking that way and then this way. That's it. Yeah, good. Okay, I don't want to stay with that one too long because I think it's not, yeah, so it's just sort of rolling here, rolling back, rolling here, rolling back. Let's just lean back onto the hands, ease the legs out in front of us. Give the legs a little bit of a lengthen and a roll. And then bring both feet back into cobbler pose. Let's just, before we do the other side, let's just spend a little bit of time in cobbler pose. So maybe a little bit of rocking. That's it. Good. And then maybe a little bit of leaning. So this one where we come into a little bit of a side bend in cobbler pose. So we can lean onto one arm. We can, good, so trying to, that's it, very nice. Trying to leave the legs heavy as much as we can. Perhaps just once more to each side. Okay, and then let's move on from here. Let's let ourselves go on to the other side of pinwheel, sliding the top leg back. Again, a little bit of circling if you like this one. If you can possibly remember which arm was on top, it doesn't really matter. But yes, hands on your shoulders, head hanging, really just letting tension undo across the upper back in the back of them. Good. That's nice. Siobhan, in this one, you could have one arm completely on top because you've got your arms sort of crossed. Yeah, that's it, because you can really do that. It's almost like you're really giving yourself a hug. Your hands, that's it. This widens you a bit more across your upper back. Let's, from here, let's fold over this knee again. So turning to face, lengthen your, line up your body with this thigh, folding over. Having a few breaths. Good. And then it's up to you. You can spend a bit longer in your pinwheel forward bend if you like, but otherwise you can walk your hands back in, and you can try that movement we did on the other side. So it was bringing this knee back. And I suppose if possible, I'm thinking that I'm coming a bit more onto the top of the knee and the top of that thigh when I catch my foot. So it would be, I suppose it's a pigeon-y sort of movement. So I'm rolling. So in this way, I'm rolling a bit more towards pigeon, a bit more towards the front of the thigh. In this way, I'm rolling a bit more towards the back of the front leg thigh. So the front of the back leg thigh, back of the front leg thigh. But yeah, this may not be something. I mean, the other thing that's quite useful about this is if your foot's moving back, it does sort of release this shoulder in the upper back a little bit. So not just all about the pelvis. Let's give the legs a bit of a lengthen out. Roll the legs on the floor. So we're just going to do some really simple breathing in sitting, bringing our hands to the same places we brought them when we were lying at the beginning of class. So you're going to come and sit comfortably. So that might be with your back against the wall. It might be, I'm going to sit on a cushion cross-legged, but you could be sitting kneeling. So just, yeah, making yourself, whatever going to be most comfortable to help you have a long upright spine as effortlessly as possible. It's not always that effortless sitting. So in your sitting position, you could do a little bit of rocking, a little bit of swaying, just to help you settle. So I'm just going to grab my water. Thirsty. So yeah, just a little bit of settling eventually. So I always remember being very relieved many years ago reading about, so part of meditation was the settling. Maybe the quiet bit is less than the settling. So we're going to start bringing our hands here onto the breastbone. So this place, we've been using this a bit in our balances today. This point, we can think about it. So you can close your eyes. You can settle your hands on your breastbone. This point between the throat and the heart is known as Kurma Nadi. And it's a place that can help us feel quite settled. And in the Yoga Sutras, it says, if you're feeling, one of the little sutras says, if you're feeling unsettled, to bring your awareness here. So just for a few cycles of breath, resting your hands on your breastbone, letting your shoulders drop, seeing how it feels to have a couple more cycles of breath here. So feel one more cycle of breath move through you with your hands on your breastbone. And then just rest your hands for a moment on your thighs so you can let the shoulders relax. And then we're going to bring our hands to our low ribs. So we've got the thumb going round towards the back, the fingers towards the front. If anything, let the elbows come in a bit rather than taking the elbows back, because that will just help these front ribs to quieten. And we're going to see what we feel here as we breathe in and out. So it's this feeling of moving in the middle of ourselves, widening in these low ribs as the breath comes in, narrowing as the breath leaves us. And it's really helpful in this one to perhaps actively slow your breathing down a little bit. So as you breathe in, there's time for the breath to travel all the way down to the bottom of the lungs and widen your ribs. And as the out breath leaves you, there's also time for the breath to leave you completely, for you to empty out, to feel those low ribs narrow. So again, let's have another couple of cycles of breath here, widening and narrowing. And then again, let the hands come to rest on your thighs for a moment, drop your shoulders. And then finally, we're going to bring our hands to our belly, quite low onto our belly. And we might not feel our belly moving that much in sitting, but to bring our awareness down, deep into the belly, feeling the contact of the hands on the low belly, beneath the belly button. Imagining that as we breathe in, the breath travels all the way down to this point. As we exhale, we're emptying from way down in the belly. Let's have 3 more cycles of breath with our hands on our belly. After your next cycle of breath, you're going to fold forwards, bring your hands onto the floor in front of you. let's see, I think Sarah has a yoga dog in training there. Very sweet. We're going to lie down now, I think. We're going to do a few movements and then we're going to settle. If you fancy, this is very optional, if you fancy making the transition into lying through rolling down, you could be from the front of your mat, sliding your hands up to your knees, letting your feet pick up off the floor. If you feel so inclined, you could come into this lovely boat pose and then just let yourselves lie down. And just settle with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor. And maybe come back for a breath or two to your hands on your belly, to the feeling the movement of your breath in your belly. Good. And then bending your knees, standing your feet on the floor. Well, very nice, Sarah. Beautiful. Good. So knees bent, standing your feet on the floor. Come to letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. So like we did right at the beginning of class. And then settling in the center. Keep your right knee bent and your right foot standing on the floor and lengthen out your left leg. So I'd like you to come into that pressing movement where we're pressing into our right foot. We're letting the right side of the pelvis come off the floor and the pelvis tilts towards the left. Yeah, that's it, that one, Rashmi. Maybe let the arms rest on the floor beside you. And do this a few times. So pressing into your right foot, letting your pelvis tilt towards the left, staying heavy through the left leg and the left side of the body. Good, very nice. Keep sending your knee forwards over your right foot. Now, the next time your pelvis comes back down onto the floor, you're going to give yourself a hug with your right arm on top. So give yourself a hug with your right arm on top. So now as you press into your right foot, you can also roll across the back of your shoulders and reach your right fingertips out on the floor to the left. So Rashmi, if you're not sure, have a look at me. I'm doing this now. So I'm doing the same pressing into the foot, but my fingers, I'm rolling across my upper body. And my right fingers are reaching out to the floor on my left side. That's it. But I'm still sending the knee forwards. Good. Just means it's a bigger movement. Rashmi, your right arm needs to be on top. That's it. Your right arm on top. Like that. Good. Good. That's nice. So you're letting your head roll to the left. You're rolling across the back of your shoulders. So it's just a very nice way to give ourselves a bit of a massage. So this should feel easy and lazy. So if it's feeling effortful, do less. Do less. That's it. Good, good, good. Okay, just uncross your arms, lengthen out both legs. We'll do the other side in a moment. Let's see, how does it feel to have both legs long, maybe both arms resting on the floor beside you. Otto's just come back in to join us, haven't you, boy? Yes. And then when you're ready, bending your left knee, standing your left foot on the floor. So a few times just do the movement with the foot, just the pressing of the left foot into the floor, the pelvis tilting towards the right. That's it, good, very nice. So just do that a few times, keeping heavy through your right side, making sure your knee is moving forwards, your left knee moves forwards over your left foot rather than over to the right. And then whenever you're ready, you can give yourself a hug with the left arm on top this time. So now we add, that's it, left arm on top, well done Rashmi, left arm on top. Now that's it, good. So we're rolling across the upper back. Our left fingers are sliding forwards on the floor towards the right. Giving ourselves this a little bit of a massage across the back of our body. Do that 2 or 3 more times as you like. And in your own time, you can uncross your arms, lengthen out your leg. And we're just going to settle down now quietly with knees bent or legs long. I actually have a poem for you today. I was reading through lots of my poetry books. And yeah, Women in Praise of the Sacred, 43 centuries of spiritual poetry by women. So yes, this is one of the more recent ones. So this poem, it's quite nice. It takes us on a little, it's quite short, but it takes us on a little journey. So settling down, either your legs long or your knees bent, resting however feels comfortable for you. And as always, when we have a poem, it's just about allowing ourselves to feel it rather than try to maybe work it out with our brain. So this poem is called Forest Lake. It's by someone called Edith Sodergran. I was alone on a sunny shore by the forest's pale blue lake. In the sky floated a single cloud, and on the water a single isle. The ripe sweetness of summer dripped in beads from every tree, and straight into my opened heart a tiny drop ran down. This is where we lie quietly for another few cycles of breath. You could imagine yourself lying beside that beautiful forest lake, the still, clear water. And some of you might recall I think we might have had the Thich Nhat Hanh meditation a few weeks ago. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect all that is. So in your own time, just taking time to come back round